there, it's Linda here. Thanks for joining me today as I play with these goodies for Scrapbook Boutique. It's time I added a few more thank you cards to my stash, so that's what I'm planning today. And I'm using one of my favourite techniques, the Camouflaged technique with the sentiment. So first of all, using the Wonky Stitches die to cut that piece that will go on my card base. And now just cutting my card base, I buy them pre-scored like that. I'm just cutting that down to fit that Wonky Stitches die more perfectly on top with just a little mat around the outside. I will cover the card base with a piece of coloured cardstock that you see here, this beautiful teal colour, and that will blend in nicely with the Altenew inks that I'll be using. So just cutting this scrap of cardstock down, making sure it's the right size for my card front, and using this fun new edge die from Altenew to cut the top of my Wonky stitched cut piece so that it looks like a little notebook edge. Today I'm playing with this fabulous Altenew set called Layered Laurel, and I'm using the largest branch or foliage that's in the set, and there are 4 layers to it, and I'll be using 4 colours of Altenew ink. This first layer I'll be stamping in Emerald ink, and then I'll be using Lagoon, Volcano Lake and Mountain Mist. So straight out of the packet onto my Misty. That's how I tend to stamp. I'm not good at conditioning them or rubbing them with an eraser first or anything like that. And I stamp them down and I see how they turn out, because the Misty means I can do it again anyway. So as you can see, there's a couple of little splotches on those 2 leaves to the left. So I wipe them off, ink it up again and stamp it down and get a better impression the second time. So that's how I tend to do the conditioning of my stamps. I tend to stamp them first when they're brand new, give them a go, see how they go in my Misty, and then I'll wipe them off with my stamp chamois, press my hand onto, and you'll see me doing it right now. That's my first stamp, a bit splotchy. So grab my stamp chamois, give it a wipe, give it a clean, all over with my hand after that to get rid of any moisture. And then this is the Mountain Mist ink, using it again a second time over the top, and it'll be a lovely impression this time. And then onto my third layer, and again this is straight out of the packet, straight onto my Misty. I'll stamp it first, give it at least a go to see how it turns out. It might be fine, it might not, but the Misty's so forgiving. Once it's in there, you can always stamp it again and again if you need to. So that's one of the fabulous things about it. I believe this one is Lagoon, this ink. So stamping it down, a little bit splotchy as you can see. So I grab my stamp chamois, give it a clean. Then I use my hand to make sure there's no moisture left. And then ink it up again, stamp it down, and I'll be guaranteed of a better impression the next time. Lagoon ink I'm using there, and cleaning the stamp off before I pop it away. And here's the 4th and last layer, and this time I'm going to condition it first. So wiping it off with my chamois and then drying it with my hand, and then inking it up with my last colour, which is a Volcano Lake. Stamping it down, and it's a nice impression first time. So there you go. Now using the sentiment out of this Altenew set, which is called Script Words 2, getting it in position and holding it with some painter's tape, and running it through my Big Shot before I then gently peel away the die cut word, and then you'll see me layering it up with some black fun foam or craft foam for that look that is often called the camouflaged die cutting technique. Lots and lots of adhesive around here in all these little small cracks and crevices there around the sentiment. Have to use some liquid glue as well, just to make sure that it will all lay down nice and flat. I'm going to grab my liquid glue, which is in this small applicator bottle, and just dotting a few dots around where it's needed most before I can then adhere all of that to my card front. And then it's a matter of getting the black fun foam piece cut with the die, and before I actually adhere it, I will need to adhere the little sections that are in the middle of those letters like H, K and S. So I've cut my thanks out of the black fun foam, you can see it off to the right there, but I'm just poking out those inner portions of those letters that I just mentioned, and then I will adhere them flat onto the card front. I'll lie the word in place, and that helps me position those little inner portions perfectly using my Crystal Katana pickup tool to position the little inner pieces accurately. And thank goodness for these applicator bottles that allow you to get into those small spots with just a dot or two of liquid glue. Right, so once those little pieces are all stuck down and in place, then it's a matter of grabbing my black fun foam piece and adhering it in place onto the card front as that extra layer before I can then adhere the stamped piece over the top so that it all sort of looks like one seamless image again. So just adding my liquid adhesive and adhering those two layers in place now. And the last finishing touch is some tiny sequins from Pretty Pink Posh, and my thank you card for today will be complete.